All right. Does anyone have any presentations today? You have one? Did you email it to me?
Yeah. I got one, so I need an email.
Yeah, email it to me. All right, we'll tackle those. And today we'll be talking about small business and entrepreneurship. We'll discuss some characteristics that we need in order to be effective entrepreneurs. What are some of the challenges? How does entrepreneurship affect our economy overall? What is the relative success statistically to being a successful entrepreneur? And some other disadvantages and advantages, pros and cons. We touched on a lot of this stuff kind of personally last week, so we'll reiterate a few of the same concepts. Okay, so in this chapter we'll look at key reasons to launch a small business, describing typical entrepreneurial mindset and characteristics, how do we fund a small business, right? How do we gain funding? What are some opportunities and threats that small business owners face? Ways to become new business owners and tools to facilitate success, and explain the size, scope, and economic contributions of a small business. All right, so first we'll start off with launching the new business or new venture. What's in it for me? We touched on a few of these last week. Some of you said, hey, you would like the financial freedom of being an entrepreneur. Independence, right? You feel that, hey, you want more control over your own life, your own time, right? Flexibility, you like maybe the option of working when you feel like it, right? Or taking care of things as you go, instead of having dedicated sort of responsibilities. The challenge, some of us like the challenge aspect of it. Like we like to be placed in a position where we can overcome an obstacle, right? We like to be challenged. And then there's the survival aspect, which kind of interrelates with challenge, right? We love the ability to say that we will survive a failure, that we will survive an obstacle, we will survive the challenge, right? We're competing with a bunch of other entrepreneurs or other businesses, and we want to survive a particular thing. Maybe survive an economic downturn, a recession, changes in the market, or some other cause. All right, so who are entrepreneurs, right? French word, entrepreneur, right? People who risk their time, money, and other resources to start and manage the business. So you're like, hey, it's risk. People who are risking. People who love risk. What are they risking as an entrepreneur? You're risking your time because you're like, well, I have alternatives. I have a choice. I could do something else. I could just go to school. I could work at for a business, be an employee. But you say, no, I'm going to choose to risk this time. You risk money. Maybe your own money, maybe your family's money, maybe a bank's money or a venture capitalist's money. And other resources, energy, right? Mental energy it takes. Coming out of comfort, maybe you're risking comfort. Be like to be an entrepreneur is to be placed in discomfort, right? And some people like that, what I talked about before, deliberate discomfort. People like being deliberately uncomfortable because they think that it makes them a better person, that it shapes their character. Many people feel financial success is more likely if they're working for themselves. So who here are my future entrepreneurs again? Raise your hand. Who's starting a business at some point in their life, their own business? Possibly, right? Do you feel that you could get more financial success that way? If you start your own thing? Okay. Or being your own boss means you're ultimately responsible for your success or failure. Some people don't like the fact that other people are directing their lives like that. Think about that. Like, oh, job, I have to do this, they put me on the schedule, right? They put me off, they fired me, there's something. Some people just don't like that feeling. Don't like that feeling of someone else being responsible for their success or failure. Some people like the learning opportunities, right? Some people think that, hey, I can learn a lot more if I actually start a business than if I work for a business. So people are like, man, I can learn accounting, management, marketing, economics, communications, everything, just by starting a business. Right? And then necessity entrepreneurs launch business because they believe it's their only economic option, right? I don't think we have any of those people in the class who feel that, hey, you know what? I have to start a business. It's my only way. It's my only option. All right, so what will be most appealing to you as an entrepreneur? I think we may have talked about this before, so we can kind of skip over this part. Someone who said, hey, just own your own business is the most appealing thing, having ownership. Some people say money, the potential to be financially successful. Some people say, hey, they like being challenged and overcoming obstacles, and some people like flexibility and independence of being their own boss. Now, what does it take to become a successful entrepreneur? We say it takes a certain mindset. Well, what kind of mindset? Well, remember I said to be at the top of really big organizations or institutions or entities, it requires a certain personality, right? Personality type. And it requires a certain mindset, a certain profile. In the field of psychology, we have personality types based off some acronyms. Right? One of the acronyms is OCEAN. O-C-E-A-N, OCEAN model. And the O would be openness. We would say, where do you rank in terms of being open as a personality? Are you open to new ideas? Are you open to new cultures? Are you open to different ways that people live? Or are you closed-minded? Like, no, I don't want to try new things. Right? I don't want to be around new people. I just like it to be around the same old people that I'm comfortable with. Right? I don't want to learn all those things. Then you might be low on openness as a personality. Right? Other people may be high. They're very open to everything. The world is their oyster. The C part we would say is conscientiousness. You're like, hey, how aware are you of not just yourself, but other people? How aware are you of the environment, other people, the way that they're thinking, their emotions, etc. As well as yourself. E would be extroversion. Some of us are high on extroversion, some of us are low, which means we might be called introverts. Right? Who are my introverts in the class? Raise your hand if you're an introvert. Are you an introvert, extrovert? It depends. Or are you always an introvert? You find yourself?
Introvert.
You're an introvert. Who are my extroverts? Someone? Okay. Right, and when we're talking about introversion, extroversion, we could simply say that, hey, how do you derive your energy? Because it's all energy. Communication is mental energy. You're speaking, hearing, sound waves converted. You got to think. That's mental or psychic energy, right? To think and process. Emotions, emotional energy. Right? So you're like, hey, people who are high on extroversion get their energy by other people, being around other people. So it's like a smartphone charger. People who are high on extroversion, they're plugged into the wall with a quick charger when they're around people. And when they're by themselves, they unplug from the wall and the battery drain. Right? So how do they get their energy? They'll be around people. Right? It boosts their energy. And it boosts all their energy, mental energy, their thoughts, their ideas, their interactions, communications, all of it, right? And you say people who are low on extroversion or called introverts, you're like, hey, they're plugged into the wall with a fast charger when they're by themselves. Their battery boosts up to 100%. And then you ask them to get into groups or get in a big, situation with a bunch of people, and it drains the battery, right? Then they gotta go back by themselves to recharge. You have to recharge. Right, so think about that. Like, hey, does your battery boost when you're around people, or does your battery drain when you're around people? Does your battery boost when you're by yourself? Right? Like, hey, some people say I do my best thinking by myself. Some people say I do my best thinking around other people. The A part in that personality model of Ocean, we say agreeability or agreeableness. Some of us are highly agreeable, which means we probably don't have the skills to say no. Some of us have something inside of us where we can't say no. We're in fear. I can't say no, I have to agree with everything. Right, that might not be good in business. Gotta learn to say no. Right? Takes a lot. Anyone here struggles with saying no to people and things? Where do you think it comes from? Like, when you're agreeing, what are you thinking about? Not hurting your feelings or something, or what are you thinking about?
Something, I feel like, you don't want to hurt your feelings or disagree with them.
Or make the situation uncomfortable, or create
It
like
is awkward.
conflict or chaos or something. How about in the back? What are you thinking? Like,
Also, a lot of times we listen about opinions as well. And sometimes, for example, like, when they invite me to go out or something, and I just want to like, say okay, not
Okay.
when that's not nice.
all right, cool. And how about you?
It's kind of like, if I was in their shoes, like, I really want someone to tell me no. So it's like, okay, like, I want to say no.
Okay. All right, excellent. Hey, we said, you know what? It's women tend to be higher on scales of agreeability than men, which means women kind of evolutionarily prefer harmony within the group as opposed to chaos. Now, men, on the other hand, may not care if it's chaos in the group, if it doesn't make logical sense, right? So men will argue with each other about the logic, right? Which tends to say, even socially, if you pay attention, if it's political things, political movements, political ideologies, men tend to disagree more than women. Women tend